All right, we're back here with our sports break. Now that we got our discussion about the NBA Finals out of the way, I want to get into a general discussion about this trend in the NBA that has become more prominent. They call it rebuild mode. In this day and age, if you're not competing for a title, you're in rebuild mode. The Chicago Bulls just broke up a team that went up 2-0 against the number 1 seed to enter rebuild mode. A little sad for me because the Bulls were one of my favorite stories of the season last year. My question is this a good thing for the sport? It doesn't happen in every sport, but NBA teams are restricted by a salary cap. They cannot just keep adding players if they mess up and sign useless players to large salaries. So that's one thing that can cripple a franchise. Players get too old and are locked into long-term deals. So teams have to make the tough decision of letting them go and trying to get at least something back in return. There aren't unlimited assets in the NBA. The pool of players that can actually win you a title seems to be limited. So there isn't the buying of players like there is in soccer, for example, or extreme contracts for pitchers like we see in baseball where there are no salary caps. The Yankees are an example of a team that can slip up and sign bad contracts but are saved by their wealth. The positive for the NBA is that a lot of teams get their chance to be relevant. But conversely, marquee franchises in big markets such as the Lakers and Bulls can slip into rebuild mode, and that's not good. In soccer, Manchester United does not enter rebuild mode. They're either good or they're not. If they're not, they have to get the players or coaches they need to get good. No, let's wait 5 years until we develop young players and may be able to sign free agents. It's Manchester United. People want to see them. When an average person turns on the TV and sees Manchester United is on, they're 100 times more likely to care than if Middlesbrough were on. Manchester United needs to be good, and I'm using that example as a Liverpool fan here. And we're going to get to the Lakers in a moment, Vlad. I know that's your area of expertise, but the Lakers just haven't been relevant in a long time. Before we talk about the Lakers, Mr. NBA expert, talk about the state of the NBA and how so many cities have been forced to trust the process and live with a bad team for multiple seasons.
Well, I don't think this is as bad as you make it out to be. I mean, yes, it's true. Some of these big cities, like the Chicago and LA, like the Lakers, New York. Well, the Knicks have been bad for ages. I think the Lakers are your best example because the Bulls have been pretty good actually. Most of the last couple of years. It's only now, maybe now, they're starting to rebuild. Um, and the Lakers have hit on some low times, but their highs were so good that eventually, like the players, once like Gasol and Kobe and Artest got older, yeah, it was. I mean, yes, they messed up on a couple of things. They could have gotten something back for Dwight. But I mean, I don't want to really push that issue right now because we're talking about it in general. So I'll focus on the Lakers later. But in general, I don't think it's a huge issue. I mean, teams just have to be smart with the way they draft. They have to be smart with the way they trade, and they have to be smart with who they're signing long-term deals. If you sign a guy for a 5-year deal and you're not sure if he's a star player, then don't do it. Don't do it. But I'm not really sure that this is like some kind of issue that's crippling the league. I mean,
Well, the point of the league is to make money.
yeah,
When there's more money, there could be larger contracts. Maybe the salary cap will go up. And you have to admit that if the Lakers were relevant, the ratings would be sky high through the roof. People
yeah,
would want to see the Lakers more than they want to. I mean, the Cavaliers and Warriors are pretty good franchises. They have stars. The
right.
ratings were solid there.
No, the ratings are
But
great.
throughout the playoffs, a lot of these teams, the playoffs were not very good. The playoffs leading up to the finals were not very good. The Lakers being there would have improved there would have been more viewers, which equals more ratings, more advertising,
Sure.
more money. And the league losing money is a problem to me, I think. I mean, the English Premier League, conversely, is booming. All the teams have money. They're getting that TV money from American NBC, and they all share the money, and they all can buy players now, and they can pay their players more, and the quality and standard of play has improved because of that.
We're talking about an issue of the NBA having a salary cap. You're saying like they should not have a salary cap basically, in like baseball and like soccer. They should just be able to. If a team is wealthy enough, they should be able to buy players, trade for players that they can afford or whatever they want to do. Like in baseball, like in soccer, and like in other sports.
Exactly. They're basically, they want there to be parity. They
Yeah,
want
the NBA wants parity.
the NBA wants parity.
Yeah.
But I think if the Lakers were more relevant, and I'm using them as an example, but they are the marquee franchise in the league. They were the dominant franchise in the 80s and the 2000s. Magic, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe.
Sure.
The Lakers make the league money.
Yes.
If you spread that wealth to all the teams, then all the teams could pay more. Then every team would have a chance to be relevant, you know? And in England, a lot of these smaller teams are getting a chance to compete with the bigger teams because they're getting all that TV money. And I do think it would help the league if the Lakers were more relevant.
Well, they can become more relevant. They just got to be smarter with it. That's all I'm saying. They have to save. They have to have money saved where they can get good players to come to them. I mean, even star players, because that's how you're going to win in this league, right? We've already decided there's only like maybe 4 or 5 players that can only win you a title, right? If that. So
it's too easy, though, in my opinion, to slip into this trap where you have to rebuild for so many years. The Lakers have been in rebuild mode for how many years now? And the Sixers, the 70s, Philadelphia, another big franchise, and they're just trusting this process. Like, it's okay. Like, I don't see how it's okay for fans to accept that their team is going to be trash for 5 years and still expect them to buy tickets and make you money.
well, I mean, even in your soccer analogy, don't you have bad teams in that league? I mean, there has to be some. If there are 5 great teams, right? There has to be the rest of them have to be below those 5 teams. So there's always going to be teams below the top teams, right?
I know you're not really into it like I am, but really, no, there aren't. It's really hard. That's the problem in England, that a lot of these big teams are having a hard time with every single game.
Yeah, but they're still the best teams, right? So there's still teams that are better than other teams.
But it's getting more competitive. It's getting good.
Okay.
And I think that could be translated to the NBA too.
I don't think this is an issue, honestly. I mean, there's many issues in the league, but this is not one of them. I mean, yes, if they want to clear cap and do that, that's fine. But yeah, you'll have crazy spending. But if whatever, I don't think the league wants to go down that road because they have a salary cap. They have an agreement between players and owners, so they don't. I mean, I don't think they want to go down that road. I do think, yes, there's something to be said about the Lakers not being, in competitive, the Knicks being awful. But those teams have to turn around themselves. They have to know what's going on in the current state of the NBA with the luxury tax and money-wise, and be smart about it. Save money, be able to afford players, start becoming relevant, and then star players will want to come to you because you're still in LA. It's a prominent place players want to play and live. You're still in New York. Well, the Knicks, though, I don't know. I mean, that's a different story. They've been bad for so long that they've just been ran by terrible management. I don't think the Lakers are in that case yet. But if they're still bad 5 years down the road and we're still having this conversation like when are the Lakers going to be good again, yeah, then it's time to panic. But it's up to the management and it's up to the owners of the team to get your team right. I mean, the Sixers didn't do anything wrong except the fact that they're blowing it up a couple of years. Except they've had injuries to some of the players they've drafted. They have a team that's really could become really good even this year if healthy because of all that young talent they've accumulated in the draft. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's a huge problem. You've got to figure it out and be smarter. I think that's the key in today's NBA. You got to be smarter. You got to spend wisely now than you probably did maybe 10, 15 years ago. But that's all. You just have to be smarter.
So there's a small margin for error, and you accept that. If a team,
I don't think it's a problem.
If management messes up, it's too bad. They're gonna go into this hole, and they're gonna have to get themselves out of it.
Well, I mean, Yes, basically, it's up to management to do it. I mean, you have to, I mean, unless, like you said, you want to blow up the whole thing. You want to blow up the salary cap and just spend, which is a totally different argument. We could argue that, but it's not realistic. It's not something that's going to happen with the league. I mean, anytime soon. So, I don't think it's a problem, though.
All right, Vlad. Well, thanks for indulging me. Those are just one of the thoughts I had that I wanted to talk about on my show. One last thing today, though, like I mentioned, the Lakers are such a significant franchise that even when they're bad, they're a big story. With the number 2 pick, they drafted Lonzo Ball to take over the point guard. Magic Johnson had to clean up a little bit of Mitch Kupchak's mess by getting rid of Timofey Mozgov's ridiculous contract. and the disastrous draft pick that was D'Angelo Russell. They somehow got some crazy team to take those two players in exchange for an expiring contract. So it looks like they will be in prime position to make runs at free agents next summer. Although Paul George is looking to get traded this summer, it doesn't look like the Lakers want to part with prized asset Brandon Ingram. The question is, can the Lakers risk that Paul George will enjoy playing somewhere else and not be into signing with the Lakers next summer?
Well, I think they have to risk it because if he really wants to play for the Lakers, like he's been saying, then it's selfish for him to ask for the Lakers to give up tons of assets, tons of good players, and especially if he's going to come for nothing in 2018. It's selfish for him to do that. Now, if the Pacers want to trade him, that's their business. They want to trade him to another team for a 1 year rental, if that's what it ends up being. Then yeah, I can totally understand that. But I personally think the Lakers should definitely not trade him because I think it's selfish of George to ask to be traded, knowing that the Lakers have to make the team worse that he's playing on. It doesn't make sense for him. It does not make sense. The Lakers need to hold firm and tell George's representatives that he has to wait until 2018. That's what I would do personally.
All right, so this is the last run then. No more tanking, right? This is it.
Well, I'm hoping. I mean, here's to hope, right? I'm hoping that we can get George, and then an off season.
All right. Well, what about this season though? Let's say there's going to be no Paul George. What do you expect from the Lakers now?
Hard to say, really. I mean, it depends maybe how good Lonzo Ball really is going to be, how good he is of a point guard. I mean, it's a lot of pressure on the 19-year-old kid to turn out, one of the great franchises of all time. But they've been stuck in the mud for many years now, like 4 or 5 years. It's a lot of pressure on him, but he could, if he plays well and they start, maybe win. Let's say they become a 500 team. Let's say that if he leads them to that, I mean, yes, it's asking a lot, but let's just say it happens this year. Let's say Randall plays great. Even Brook Lopez plays well. I mean, it's a 1 year rental. He's he's off the book next year, but he's playing for something. He's playing for money next year. He might want to play well. Randall too. They have Clarkson. Ingram maybe takes the next step in his second season. Maybe he's gotten a lot better. Who knows what's going to happen?
Larry Nance
Jr.
So absolutely. Are you excited about this season as a Laker fan?
I mean, there's reason for hope, but we don't know how good it's going to be until they take the floor and play. And you pretty much have a good idea after like 25, 30 games how good a team is going to be. So we'll see after that, but it's impossible to say because last year I had some hopes too. I said, oh yeah, they have good young players. Luke Walton's first year. They started well, but then went down the tank really quickly. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, it's a young team minus if they don't get George. But I have hopes that if not this coming year, definitely next year, the team will be making its way back to
the playoffs.
To the playoffs and maybe more. I mean, depending on if they get some really good players in 2018, they'll have money to spend. Well, from what I gather, they have enough money to spend on 2 max free agents. So if they can get 2 guys to come that are of that caliber, could turn around the whole team right away like that. So we'll see.
Well, all right, Vlad. That'll do it for this episode of Sports Break. I know we're supposed to be NBA fans here, but we have our problems with the sport we love, and this is our platform to let out how we feel. This is our therapy, if you will. Rest in peace, Dusty Rhodes. But we appreciate if anyone watched this, and we hope that somehow, however you can figure, that you can squeeze any kind of happiness out of this thing we call life. Bless you all, even you awful people. Until the next time.